Testing one, two, three. Testing one, two, three.
Mr. Adams, you're coming in and out.
Can you hear me now? Testing one, two, three. Testing
Yes.
one.
Yes, I can hear you.
Thanks. Thanks.
I mean, I think that I would agree with that, because
1 second. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. Please call the roll. Please call the roll.
This is the roll call for the Urban Redevelopment Agency, URA meeting. Wednesday, May 25th, 4 p.m. The Honorable Captain F. Rao.
Present.
The Honorable Carmelita Gums.
Present.
The Honorable Helen Z. Willis.
Present.
The Honorable J.C. Sebastian. The Honorable Corey A. Reeves. Okay, present in the chat. And the Honorable Natasha Williams. And lastly, Honorable Mayor Khalid.
Present.
Mr. Mayor, we do have a quorum.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the first item.
The first item is URA TSPLOST CIP presentation. This presentation will be presented by Antonio Valenzuela, Director, Department of Public Works. And I don't know if the city manager, did you want to? Okay, Mr. Valenzuela.
And before you begin, Mr. Valenzuela, we were all emailed this presentation. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, you should have. We shared the file probably about 4 o'clock. I'm sorry, 3 o'clock.
And can it be found on the city website?
Yes, it's under Urban Redevelopment Agency in Novus Agenda, and also on the Agenda and Minutes page, the presentation is there.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Valenzuela.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, City Manager, and residents of the City of South Fulton. It's my pleasure tonight to present to you the updates on the URA for the City of South Fulton. Next page, please. I would like to state that what Public Works was engaged to do and tasked to do was to ensure that the 13 URAs that were formed initially and approved by Council back in June 19, 2019, it is what we have tonight to present to you the updates on the 13 URAs and projects that encompasses in each district as well as on each URA. As we started with the presentation, wanted to mention to you also that when we assess the projects and facilities that we have under the 13 URAs, the initial assessment was over $50 million. Unfortunately, now that we have put boots on the ground, the estimated value is over $50 million. Wanted to state that. And we were approved about $16.3 million to engage on the first necessities for the facilities that we're going to discuss tonight. Next page, please. Under what you see in front of you It is on a schedule of activities that council approved before on projects that are underway. We put this presentation based on the actual conditions and the forecasts on the project that we have. We wanted to start with Walkmall Park replacement. It started on December 2021. It is forecasted to be completed on December 2022. We're still negotiating the roof issues at Walkmall. We want to make sure that the vendor does the right thing for the center, and as well as that the city pays the fair price for the estimated change order under $1.8 million. The Sandtown roof replacements, we replaced 2 roofs. It is completed. We started in November 2021. It was completed in January 2022. The Sandtown below grade waterproofing, interior and exterior. We find out that there was substantial leaks throughout the perimeter of the venue that was completed as well. That was completed in December of last year. The Sandtown gym, the HVAC system, the council approved the contract with our contractor. We're currently in the process of executing the contract with the vendor. As soon as the contract is fully executed, the vendor will be mobilizing to Sandtown, and it is forecasted to make the new installation of HVAC system within 4 to 6 weeks. The Bourdain gym, we also have already executed that contract. The contractor has mobilized. The task is to do the HVAC system at the gym, plumbing and electrical upgrades. It is forecasted to be completed by June of this year. Fire Station 1 generator replacements. What we've done at that Fire Station 1 as well as Fire Station 4, the vendors have already mobilized, done some work. They installed the concrete pads, and it is forecasted to complete the installation by July of this year. So by doing those generator replacements, we're taking from the inside to the outside so that our firefighters will have a better places where to stay and get away from fumes that were creating issues to them in the past. Fire Station 7, it's the same thing. The concrete pad is in place, and it's forecasted to be completed in June. That comes earlier. We also have committed to do different kitchen upgrades to commercial grades for Fire Station 1, 4, 5, 7, 8, 3, 7, and 7. The reason why you see on that order is that the contractor that started in May, it will start with the repairs, actually started on the Fire Station 1, then they will go to 4, 5, 7, and so on. The forecasted dates are to be completed in June of this year. Fire Station 1, the restroom renovations, we have completed that at Walkmall. We have some items, minor items that are under the punch list, and we'll ensure that the contractor completes the items that we identified that need some minor repairs. The Cliftondale Southwest Art Center, it is a venue that the design was completed. We have 2 phases for that venue. We would like to have a meeting with Councilwoman Gomes to discuss further how we want to proceed. We've been in conversation with our Director of Parks, and we'd like to bring the proposal from Parks as well as discuss with you and how we would like to proceed. At this point, the design has been completed. The forecasted remodel is over $2 million, and we want to make sure that we do the right thing for the venue and the city. Well, Walkmall Park, we will follow after the ceiling is completed and the trusses are completed. We have interior renovations, the water slide replacement, ceiling repair, and others. We want to make sure that we do first complete the roof, then we can proceed with the interior renovations. But we're looking at completing those items by October of this year. Bourdain Park, Tennis Center, interior renovations, wall replacement, ceiling repair for the camera installation as well. That has been completed. We have minor items that we want to discussed with the vendor, minor leaks on the tile ceiling, but the wall has been replaced, and that section is completed for us. South Fulton Tennis Center, the ADA access, that is underway. It's pending the design, and upon design completion, we will proceed with the ADA access for the center. Sandtown replacements, all exterior doors at the gymnasium level, materials have been ordered. We are expecting to be completed by June of this year. Krill Park renovations, we are committed to replace roofs and pavilions, replace HVAC, 3 units of those at the community building that has been completed. We have minor punch list items that we'll handle with the contractor. Wilkerson Mill on the press box renovations, replace roof, repair sealants, replace windows and concrete pads for equipment that has been completed. At the same time, we have identified minor punch list items that it will be handled by the contractor. All national park renovations, replace concession stand roofing, exterior doors, and exterior countertops, replace tables and benches. That has been also completed, besides the benches and counters that we want to make sure that they do the right thing for us. The canine dog replacement of restrooms, they replaced 3 metal doors. It has been completed. We also identified minor punch lists that will be completed. Next slide, please. This slide provides you actual pictures and before pictures that we wanted to share with you, how the venues looked like before, how the venues look like now. At that picture, we can see the waterproof issues that we have on the perimeter, as well as the conditions on the roof and the new roof that we have. Next picture, please. Trammell Crow Park, you can see what an effort that was made with our parks. We installed the pads for the new equipment that has been completed, as well as you can see the restroom repainting, which is completed as well. Fire Station 4, you can see the HVAC replacement that's been completed, the before pictures and after pictures, as well as the generator replacement, which is in progress. You can see those pads. That's what the typical pads that we're installing throughout numerous fire stations and bringing the inside generator to the outside. And next, please. The Cliftondale South Art Center. It's as you imagine, the venue requires a lot of work. It has 2 components of this venue that we will take a lot of time. We want to discuss issue by issue here, but I would like to set a meeting with you, Councilwoman Gomes, to go over more detail on how we want to proceed, taking into consideration as well as what park has in mind under the master plan for parks. I think this is something that we want to make sure that that we do the right thing. Walkable Park, you can see the major issues that we had at 3 roofs being completed, besides the roof that's on top of the swimming pool. Some of the deficiencies in the interior, the walls, and so on, which will come after completing of the swimming pool roof that's on top. Next, please. Walkable Park, that continues. You can see the deficiencies that we have. Those are the issues that we're going to be handling afterwards. Fire Station 1, you can see the pictures before and after. That was the bathroom renovation, as well as the kitchen upgrades that we provided, and the new pad for the upcoming generator for that Fire Station 1. The canine dog, you can see the current pictures with the new doors. The doors that we had before were in bad conditions. Now we can see the venue has better doors. It actually can get in and get out compared with what it was before. The South Fulton Tennis Center, that was an effort made before. You can see the prior conditions and current conditions, the replacement of the tennis courts as well as the fence. Next picture, please.
Delano Park at the bottom.
I'm sorry, on Delano Park, you can see that's the fence replacement that we've done, the prior conditions and current condition on the fence replacement. Wilkinson Mill Park, the concession stand, it looks much better. We've been there visiting the site. The current conditions and before conditions, minor items that the contractor needs to correct. That's something typical that after construction you see some deficiencies, but we were able to inspect and identify, so we have requested from the contractor to make minor corrections. Continuing with Fire Station 3, we have a retaining wall. The design is underway. After that, we'll replace that retaining wall. Fire Station 8, you see the actual conditions of the kitchens. Those kitchens will look like much better in the near future per the prior schedule that I provided on prior slides. Fire Station 7, the trim and siding replacement, how it looked like, and that trim has already been replaced, as well as what we're coming up with the generator replacement, bringing from inside to the outside. The pad is to be per, and you can see now as well the siding that was done now. Bourdain Park, as mentioned to you before, the ceiling installation is complete, the wall partition is complete, the perimeter of the venue has been complete. We're going to try to do more items as funding allows us. We have identified other items. So while the contractor is on site, we're going to request from them to do as much repairs as possible. Next slide, please. Creel Park, the pavilion roofing is complete. The HVAC replacement is complete. You can see the prior pictures on HVAC, as well as the doors, the roofing that was complete with the pictures before and after. As well as you can see in All National Park, the way how it looks like now, the concession stand at that location, we're just looking to replace the benches and tables that we have. Fire Station 5, the kitchen upgrade, those are the current conditions. That's on the schedule, that has been contracted as well. We're just going to look forward to get on the schedule for completion. Then this slide provides you information with regards to the dollar amount, where we are, how much we actually contracted, how much was the funding that we were authorized to use, and how we have used so far, and all the information that you have right there. It is based on approvals on contracts that we executed and done by the council. So as you can see right there, it's about $16.3 million that was approved. We already executed part of that, and we have a remaining of about $3.3 million remaining for the second phase. What we call second phase is on items that are under contract and items that we see that needs to be done, such as on the parks. We have the Sandtown Park, where we got to do the mold remediation. That scope of work is underway. The ITV should be posted any time, and then we hope that the remediation of the interior of the venue comes in budget, and we're able to remediate the mold. Then you have for transportation, we still have some commitments that we have for transportation. As projects are moving for capital projects such as New Hope, Old National Highway, and possible Fairburn Road upgrades, those funds remaining will be utilized for those projects. And for the Cliftondale, the rest of the money, we're forecasting for that venue, and hope that with that funding that we were allowed to use, we hope that we're able to provide as much remedies to what we have or what we can. Next page, please. Those are charts on that are done for your information. I'm not going to read verbatim, but you have that on your information. It tells you how much we contracted, how much we spent, and so on. I will assure you that we're only paying as much as the vendors provide their invoices. We have verified deliverables, and then we're paying them. But all those projects have been already contracted, and those are the status of expenditures. And by the way, all those numbers are online with our finance official records for the city of South Fulton, and our chief financial officer is aware of all these matters and have been verified by her office as well. Next page, please. This page tells you the same thing. That's on another project as well. That's for District 2. Next page, please. That will be for District 3. So all those future slides that you're going to see it is the expenditure contracts expended to date per district. Next page, please. That belongs to District 4 with all the projects that we have on that district, contracts and expenditures to date. That's District 5 with the same information. Next page, please. That will be District 6. And finally, we have District 7. So once we are moving forward with the contracts, and we're starting to finalize all that we committed to do for URA, eventually those orange bars will be even with the blue bars. We hope that not to exceed the blue bars. That's our hope. Next slide, please. Next slide, yeah, good. This is a small recap of what we can do with the remaining funds that you have. I have explained that before, but this is a small summary of what will be, how we propose to expend the funds that are available for us phase 2. With that said, Mr. Mayor.
Could you go back to that screen, please? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to open up the queue for questions. I am going to ask, we have Councilman Sebastian and Councilwoman Williams online.
And Reeves.
And Reeves. Okay, can the three of them, is their queue working? I'm going to try and, I'm going to attempt to use the speaker's queue today. All right, so I'm going to ask everybody to get in the queue, and if it doesn't work, Reeves, Sebastian, and Williams, just text me. I will just keep looking at my phone. Is there anyone with a question in the queue?
Yes.
Able to request to speak?
Yes, go ahead, Councilwoman Williams. Go ahead, Councilwoman Williams.
Yep. It appears to be working on my end.
All right. Did you have a question? All right. Did you have a question? All right.
I was just testing it out when you asked if it was working.
All right, thank you. Well, I'm going to ask a few questions. The first is...
Me too.
Oh, you are in the queue? Okay.
I'll run down the queue that I have. Councilmember Rao, Councilmember Willis, Councilmember Sebastian.
Do you mind putting that queue, because no one is in my queue? Go ahead, Dr. Rao.
Thank you for recognizing me. I have a couple questions. Now, on Wilkerson Mill, it stated that the pad was complete. Do you have a timeline for implementing or installing the workout equipment? And second, as you noted, we have $50 million in repairs. The URA has $16 million. What is the plan for addressing the continued needs?
Well, on the equipment that we've been working with the Director of Parks, the equipment installation will follow under his specialty. the pads are ready for them. With regards to the $50 million, it's really a hard question for us. We were given 16, and then at the end of the day, the net value that we used for facilities was under $10.6 million. If we start adding what it was done before 50, and now we're at close to $55 million on needs. Unfortunately, when you assess a venue and then you actually put boots on the ground, the reality is different. When we tear down walls and we find inside what we couldn't see before, the dollar extends it. So we're making more precautions to ensure that we have all other alternatives already for those things, but we do our best. So we've been discussing with the director of parks on how we could address, as well as with PD and fire, because they all have their own priorities and thoughts on how we can do this. Parks have other thoughts on how they can come up with all the different funding mechanism of funds, some kind of SPLOST and so on. PD has much higher needs than what we can expend, fire as well. So it's very difficult for us to say how are we going to be able to sustain all the needs for the city.
What about the second part about the workout equipment at Wilkerson Mill?
That will be with the director of parks, with Mr. Travis, please.
Test. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Councilmember Rao, to answer your question regarding the workout equipment over at Wilkerson Mill, we have had our maintenance staff receive quotes to have the installation of that equipment. The unfortunate part is when that equipment was purchased, it was not purchased to have the installation, and I think it was purchased about a year and a half or 2 years ago. But our maintenance team is receiving quotes to have that that equipment installed out at that park. I can provide you a timeline upon that, and when that information is received, and we can get approval on that.
Okay. And maybe the city manager can address any plans that you have thought of as it relates to, and I know we have a lot of needs as it relates to completing a number of these projects. Any thoughts you'd like to share?
Councilmember Rao, please repeat that for me. I'm sorry. He was making a comment to me at the same time.
Of course, we heard about at least $55 million now in needed repairs. Of course, our URA only addressed $16 million, which were the most pressing things, as we could see from the presentation. Is there a plan, or have you begun to think about how we take on the next set of repairs in terms of a funding strategy?
Well, I would say that as we begin to go into the fiscal year 23 budget process, you know, at the exact same time we will be putting together the capital improvement projects. I would think that that would be the appropriate time to include some of those projects, even if, you know, capital improvements goes out 5 years typically, and if we have to come up with a game plan of having those funded, I think that would be an appropriate source. As we also work with our Park and Rec Director and our Parks Master Plan process, we may, you know, need to look at that as some funding options as we talk to our consultant about some possibilities of what we can use to fund those projects that we don't necessarily have money for at this time.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilwoman Willis.
Thank you for recognizing me. I didn't see any mention of Southwest Art Center. There were several things that need to be repaired in this art center, like the water fountains, and there are panels missing out of the ceiling in some areas in this building. Are there any plans to address that?
At this point, not those items, but since the Southwest Art Center was not part of the URA, but we were able to do already some repairs, such as all the lights that we repair here. Those are new lights that you have. And then we also have a chiller replacement coming in that it is for this venue.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilman Sebastian.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for recognizing me, Mr. Mayor. As I've asked before in these meetings, because this URA thing was on the way before I got here, obviously, but I think for the benefit of some of the listening public, I think we should basically in a quick, a couple sentence, explain why is it that we selected some of the projects that we selected, and why is it that certain areas and certain parks like Cedar Grove, as I explained and mentioned in other meetings, were not included. There are reasons, and they're legitimate reasons, but I think we kind of need to let the public know that it's not for not wanting to, but one, there's a lack of some resources. Plus, there are additional plans and ways in which we can put resources towards upgrading that park that is in the middle of District 4. And while we appreciate the upgrade to Wilkinson Mill, it's really at the end of the city, almost inside of Palmetto. So the park that most chatter has happened in District 4 about is Cedar Grove Park, but we have not touched that park at all.
Councilor Sebastian, to address your question, what we've done is once Mayor and Council approved on June 19, 2019, and the creation of the 13 URAs, that's when the projects were identified. Not necessarily what the issues were, but that's where they were identified. And what we've done is, we could have done better, but we pick up with the funds that we have and the areas that were of a safety reason. And that's how we decided to move on with investments on those facilities.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Councilman Sebastian. I'm going to piggyback off of that. I do think that it is important for your edification, Mr. Sebastian, and the listening public. In 2018, we had a longer list of projects, but I believe it was Jacobstone. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there was some assessment of our parks facilities, and some of our buildings were in such disrepair that we had to reevaluate what we had prioritized and increase the prioritization and the budget for some things that we had originally budgeted in the URA. Do you recall that meeting, correct, Mr. Valenzuela?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Upon the approval of the 13 URAs, in order for us to ensure what were the much needed and safety areas that we needed to do and have a better idea with regards to estimated cost, we subcontracted the assessment of all the facilities throughout the city of South Fulton. So that was a conceptual estimate, and that's how it was arrived to the $50 million plus.
Thank you. So, right, any of you who have owned a building and dealt with contractors are familiar with the principle of things coming in more expensive than originally budgeted for. I do want to ask, again, for the edification of the public and for myself, and the people who will call the mayor's office, the opening dates for the following buildings. The Creel Park Pavilion will be reopened when?
The Creel Park is actually open. I think if we go back to the slide on what we've done for Creel Park.
And I'm going to ask, is the Creel Park Pavilion open now, Mr. Landrum?
Yes, sir. The Creel Park Pavilion is open, and we will have the facility scheduled for opening at the beginning of next month.
All right, and if people want to schedule space or rent space in that building, can they contact the Parks Department?
Yes, sir. They're able to contact our staff at Welcome All Park for their convenience. If they're interested in viewing the availability on Civic Rec, they can do such, but the request will still need to come through our staff to make sure that we can ensure no conflicts take place and they can go through the necessary steps to have a successful event.
Thank you. And the Sandtown Park building?
Let me address that. On the Sandtown, we have the mold remediation. We want to make sure that there's no water intrusion into the building so we can do the mold remediation. And upon doing that stuff, we also have at the same time the HVAC system coming in for the gymnasium. But there are two additional major issues out there. It's the flooring on the basketball court, which needs a lot of work, and perhaps the peeling of the ceiling and structure, which is metal. Unfortunately, the paint is falling down. We were hoping to do it at the second phase, but it's peeling, it's coming down. It's something that we cannot forecast. And then if we start looking at the proper scenarios and the step-by-step, we don't want to replace the basketball court flooring before fixing up the repairs of the ceiling. So those are the two major things that we don't have in the budget now. We haven't contracted those things yet.
So understood. So the building will not be reopening in July 2022? I'm just looking for a month or a rough estimate of a date, something that we can tell our constituents. This building we are estimating this building will be reopened this date.
Not on July. We're going to have the bid for the mold remediation. The HVAC system will be completed between 4 to 6 weeks, but then we're going to open the bid, hopefully sometime in July. Then you'll have to approve that bid at the next available council meeting, and then that will take another 6 to 8 weeks to do the repairs because it's a massive repair for the mold remediation.
So what I'm hearing is that December of 2022?
I think, yes.
Okay.
That's the most.
The South Fulton Art Center, do we have a month and that would be open?
On the South Fulton Art Center, we need to discuss with our Councilwoman Gomes on how we want to proceed. The design has been completed, but how we want to proceed, if we're going to bid it out as a whole project, if we're going to bid it out by phases, that 2 legs of the building, or if we want to work with parks and see that they have also another master plan for the venue. Upon deciding on which direction we want to go, because right now we forecasted at $2.8 million. Then if you tear that building down and rebuild it, we're looking at $11 to $14 million to do it.
So that's a TBD. We don't have a month and a day for that.
Yes, sir.
And I do see the hands. I'm gonna come back. The second item that I wanted to talk about was Canine. I feel like this mic is so hot. It's Canine Crossing. The first dog went by and inspected Canine Crossing, and both of the fields are full of ant beds. it is actually not usable. No dog can walk out there. It's completely infested with ant beds. Is there any money or any plans in the budget to de-ant the building, or, I mean, the fields, or resod the fields? That's probably not a word.
We can revisit our current agreement with Russell Landscaping. We currently have that contract with them, and we can revisit the scope of work that we have for our parks to go out and look at the canine dog crossing.
Awesome. And then lastly, what items listed in the 2019 URA, if any, have we had to stop or abandon completely? I know that we heard that there was some work for South Fulton Arts Center. Is there anything else that was on that original list that we are not going to be able to get to?
Not that I'm aware at this point. We are in line with what we promised to do.
All right. And I saw Mr. Sebastian and I think Councilwoman Morale, but I'll start Councilman Sebastian.
Yeah, I just wanted to, again, come back to the point of saying we do have some plans for that park at Cedar Grove that we're trying to work through, and hopefully that will get some monies as was promised into the 2023 budget, so that folks know District 4 is not forgotten or excluded.
All right, thank you, Councilman Sebastian. Dr. Rao?
I just want to thank the public works staff. I know, we communicate regularly on this and trying to keep these projects moving, the staff and the contractors who have worked on it, despite all the challenges, the supply chain and the like. So I just wanted to publicly thank you for your work on this. Of course, we have a lot more to do, but I guess that's for us to figure out where the next pot of money comes to finish these facilities. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Would you sound the next item, Mr. Clerk?
The next item was funded versus unfunded projects, per your request.
Okay. Well, with that, we are at the end of our agenda. We do have, if it would be all right with council, one of the funding options that we have available is a general obligation bond. And there is some discussion that we would have to have about that in order to activate it. And I will just, I want to have some discussion with you about that later. And I will go ahead and entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Would you call the vote, Mr. Clerk?
Roll call vote. Councilmember Rao?
Yes.
Councilmember Gomes?
Yes.
Councilmember Willis? Yes. Councilmember Sebastian? Councilmember?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves? Councilmember Williams? Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
We are adjourned at 4:47 p.m.
Just for the public, we have our next meeting is to begin at 5 p.m. Do we need to wait until 5 to start that meeting? I'm asking our clerk and our attorney.
Since we're so early, I would just use this opportunity to break because it was advertised as starting at 5.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay.